If you enjoy our show, spread the love wherever you listen by rating, reviewing, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff to help us get ourselves out there. And with that said, let's start the show. I'm Ode. That's Vicky. I'm me. You're you. We are we.
Oh my God, that was so corny.
The You, Me, We
goodness.
podcast.
I think it was about 4 years ago. Started a friendship with August.
Can you pause that?
I feel like he's watching now. Like, don't call me Og.
Okay, here's my question. How old is August Alsina?
Let's check the Googles. Alexa, how old is August Alsina?
August Alsina is 27 years old.
Alexa's like, that messy boy?
Alexa, how old is Jada Pinkett Smith?
Jada Pinkett Smith is 48 years old. She was born on
Okay, Alexa,
19...
stop. Okay, so she is 20 years his senior, which is fine.
Okay.
It just makes me wonder,
Is this
whose friend was he? Whose friend was he?
what you're going for? It's like, they
Because
said
she said he became a really good friend. To who?
I could see them being the
Do you
type
think, like,
of
they
people who mentor. Like they,
okay.
Will looks like he's somebody that
does.
mentors, as well as Jada. She looks like she's somebody. 'Cause I'm assuming that's their relationship with the woman that had the situation with Tristan Thompson, whatever. Chloe's ex.
No,
or
that's
current.
like his goddaughter.
Oh, okay.
No, that's his goddaughter. That's why they were like, Kardashians are not about to tear
Okay.
this girl down.
Yeah, but they just seem like the type that would open
No, they
themselves
do.
up to mentoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like,
Was that Jaden?
why is this? Well, 4.5 years ago would put him at like 23 and a half,
Oh, okay.
right? Like, what's this 23-year-old having a 43-year-old woman as a friend?
Depending on
A 43-year-old married woman as a friend. But I get what you're saying. That was my only question. That's it.
Depending on
Mhm,
where,
no.
okay, my thing so far, depending on where this conversation goes, it could have, well, I'm sure it will affect just how cringy that first part was, where they focus on where Og was mentally.
Which is public knowledge.
I know, no, it's public knowledge, but depending on where this conversation goes, it could add to some people's issue, feeling like he was taken advantage of. If he was, some people's argument, if he did come to them for help, and if she.
Let's see how this plays out,
Yeah.
because I think that's.
But you get what I'm trying to say, because I know a lot of people.
I don't want to consider that, because it's not based on anything factual, and I think people have a habit of fantasizing an assumption as opposed to sticking to the facts. So I just want to hear exactly what she's about to say. I'm very intrigued.
From there, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided.
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
She said you kicked me to the curb.
I think
Okay.
Jada was messy.
Okay, but you
Like, not even with the August part.
you
I think-
saw. She said, "Yeah, you kicked me to the curb."
Yeah.
And the way he said, "I was done with your ass,"
Yeah.
which gives you, I'm assuming, the impression, which is the impression that I'm getting, which is probably the impression that some people are getting, which is she was a problem.
Jada was messy.
Jada was messy, whatever that means. That was messy to what messy meant to their relationship.
Or, just honestly, that was my only thought up until right now. Because when you said it again, I was like, I don't know if the way you said it made me say, oh, maybe Will was just not ready for whatever they had and kicked her to the curb and was done with her, meaning he was the problem. Like he wanted to go do other things. I didn't even think of that. I automatically was just assigning this messy behavior to
Will?
to Jada.
Wait, I'm confused. You just confused me.
I automatically thought Jada was messy. Up until right just now, when you repeated what he said, I realized at no time did I think it was Will. Jada was always all about Will and Jada, and Will kicked her to the curb because, as he said, he was done with her, and it was just all him. Like,
No.
I feel like you can hear it both ways, but I only heard it the other way with Jada being messy.
She said, "Yeah, you kicked me to the curb," and he was like, "I was done with your ass." But the way that he said it was on some, "I was sick of your shit."
I know,
but I don't see it though. The way that you're pointing out, I don't see it that way. I see it as
which way?
How she said it. She said it in a way that she's like, "No, I acknowledge the shit I was bringing to the table," and he was on same like, "Yeah, girl, that's why I was done with your ass because I also know of the shit you're bringing to the table, and I was sick and tired of that shit."
Or did we just hear that? And I agree with you. I heard that too, even though all she said was, "You kicked me to the curb," and his response was, "I was done with you."
Yeah, but the way he said it.
So we're not going off of facts. Remember?
Okay, this is.
We're not going off of facts. We are making up stories.
All right, this is why I say it that way. This is why I have that assumption. Can I tell you why?
Go ahead. Because
we've had that conversation.
Okay.
And the way that he said it resonates with you, and the way that she's saying things resonates with me. So that's why from a personal experience, the way they are saying certain things
reminds you of when you dated that R&B singer
August.
because I am Mr. Independence Day with all my riches.
It reminded me of when I was in a relationship with Romeo Santos from Aventura. You gotta make it equal.
Listen,
for real.
If we as a couple can benefit off of you dating Romeo. If we as a couple can benefit off of me dating Romeo, we in there. We gonna do what we gotta do.
No, but that's why I think it was Jada was kind of like, no, I know I was in a really bad place.
We decided that we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy.
Well, this is why I also think
she good with words.
No. This is why I also think that the most recent, it's not. So I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that Jada was the cause of all their problems. I'm thinking that this most recent one during that time, she was a problem. Perhaps somewhere in the past, Will was the problem, and it just went back and forth.
But he's a black male. Black men don't cheat.
Right. So, anyways, my understanding. So this, when he said you had to figure out what made you happy, and I had to figure out what made me happy, took me back to that Red Table Talk when he said, I am not responsible for her happiness. She is responsible for her own happiness. And I was like...
Nice callback, Will. Nice callback.
Which is true, because I totally agree with that. But when he said that, it reminded me of that. And I wonder if that whole statement comes from this experience.
Or
from them saying, like, yo, you need to figure out what makes you happy, and I need to figure out what makes me happy, because depending on each other ain't the answer, which is the truth. Okay, go.
The first thing I thought was that they're just so good at acting, writing, producing, directing. They know how to do callbacks. And only in the YouTube breakdown of that movie do you say, oh, here was a callback to episode 1 that only true fans would know.
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
Entanglement.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship.
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely.
Entanglement.
Can we talk about briefly? I'm guessing we both acknowledge that she was like, not that she wasn't being straightforward, but she was like, I don't know. I feel like there was something with her not just saying what it was until he had to like pull it out of her. Just say it. Her calling it an entanglement instead of just being like, me and Og was doing the damn thing. No. I guess Will was thinking the same thing. That's why he was like, relationship.
With August, what do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good.
Damn.
And it was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
That's tough.
What?
That she's like, it's been a really long time since I felt good. This whole time people were romanticizing their relationship. And you can tell she's like, she was just not happy which she has communicated on this show before.
I wouldn't know.
My understanding, she has communicated that she was not always happy in this relationship and that she really struggled a lot in the relationship.
Did she give reasons or?
Yeah, she said it was hard for her to see Will kind of like have his career and take off while she's like the mom, and she felt like she had to sacrifice more, which is completely understandable. And just like within that, she lost a lot of herself, and that catapulted into or morphed into other things.
It's not like she was hating. I'm joking.
But I mean, that's really tough. I just think that once again, here we have people romanticizing a relationship, and she's probably at home like, yeah, okay.
People be like, oh my God, Vicky, Ode, you guys are relationship goals. Like, get your priorities straight, or get your role models straight. All right.
Coming up now, and I think it could feel weird for people that we're laughing and talking about it, but
It happened
it's,
so long ago.
you know, and our experiences
I don't think it's weird
For
them to be sitting there kind of like giggling and laughing. Because I just feel like, again, from personal experience, I feel that you come through the other side, and there are certain conversations that are not as hard for you to have anymore. And that, not that they're finding it funny, but they're just like, it has been such a, like, this is what I'm hearing. It has been such a long time since that happened that there is a little bit of
comfort.
Comedy to it, that it's now being brought up as if it happens now. And if anyone knew what we were going through then and how tight we are because of that now, like, you know, it's kind of like, we're not, like, I don't think that they're laughing at him or laughing at the, you know, the implications or the seriousness of the situation. But I think that they're kind of like laughing in a, like, they're laughing on some like, yo, we're like here. So, you know, I don't think people understand that this is not phasing us. Even if we're sitting here talking about it, it's not phasing us how it possibly would have back then. Like, it's not phasing us because we went through it, we grew from it, and it has been, you know, they've probably done some more deep connection kind of thing where they've really blossomed from that, and that they're kind of like, you know, it's not like we're not stressed about it kind of thing. Like, we can talk about it and giggle, but we're not stressed. Like, we're not gonna go and fight. Is again the impression that I have. Not that I may be completely wrong. I don't know, but that's the impression I'm getting.
I haven't watched the full Og. I call him Og now.
It's very annoying.
I haven't. Will said it.
He was like in a.
Okay. So, if you're in a relationship with my wife, I can call you Og.
If y'all cool, then they're cool on a personal level.
I haven't watched the full August Alsina interview, and probably a lot of people haven't. We just all saw the clip, so it was Angela Yee's thing, and it was like, I don't gotta see the whole thing. But I haven't watched the full thing. But the part that I did see, and what I think I remember seeing, similar to what you said, going off of, you know, past experiences and stuff, I think that's their reaction, and how I remember him being when he was talking about it shows how it could be weird depending on what side you were on when this whole thing happened. So there is one party who, like you said, time will bring more some healing, and they'll be able to talk about it a certain way. They'll be able to laugh when talking about the situation, not laugh at the person. While maybe the other...
Yeah, like they're laughing at their part of the situation.
Yeah. But while the other party, time will never heal it. 10 years
because
from...
they need to grow from that experience. And they have probably, Will and Jada have probably faced who knows what kind of experiences that kind of just probably expedited their healing from this one. So
Yeah.
I just...
So my thing was that I could see how it could be. I think we both could see how it could be the opposite. It could be weird for some to be like, while some people.
Oh,
probably,
yeah, like they could be like, wow, look at them just joking, and this. he was sleeping with your wife and you're just gonna forgive her like that. Like, yo,
There's-
it's not. Yo, everything is not black and white.
There's definitely going to be posts about that tomorrow or later on today. People are going to say he's a simp.
Yeah.
People are going to say that about Will. They're going to say he's
Yeah.
a simp.
When it's like, yo, it's not. It is not that black and white. Like, I can't recall any situation of this significance that was just black and white in regards to a relationship. I am in the firm belief that relationships constantly exist in a gray area, because contrary to what we've been told, relationships are not this and this and that's it. It's not this or this. It's whatever you want it to be. And so a separation may work from them that they can bounce back from. For other people, it just doesn't work. And so that makes it a gray area because it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. So I just don't, what's okay for you may not be okay for me, may be okay for someone else. It's not a one size fits all. And so that's why I think relationships exist in a gray area, and people want to apply these fictitious ass rules that don't work for everyone. And all right, think he's a simp, but it seems that they're tighter than ever. And granted, no one wants to get tighter in that way, but that's not how life works. You don't get to choose what you and your significant other go through. You don't get to choose the way that something you chose to do ends or affects you down the line. You don't get to choose that. Once you put something out into the world, you don't get to choose how it comes back around and how you're going to deal with it and what happens. I think the simps are anyone calling him simp. Like, you're a simp if you're calling him a simp.
I'm not sure where I want to go with this or where people would take this comment. But the first thing I thought of when you said you don't get to choose blah, 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 I heard people saying, but you do choose your actions kind of thing. I don't know where I'm trying to go with that.
Yes, you do.
Like,
but
I just hear people saying that in response to that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you get to choose, you get to make a choice. Mm-hmm. But you don't get to choose exactly what happens from making that choice. You don't get to choose
or the implication, the impact that it has
right.
on you,
and that
on
can
him,
be
her.
Now, that can be 5 years later, that can be 15, 20, whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't get to choose how it comes back, right? Like, you get to make a choice, but you don't choose how that may have affected everything else and how it can boomerang right back to you. Like, you don't get to make that choice. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. That's why I really believe, like, relationships are not a one size fits all. And if you're calling him a simp, it's because you're a simp. Because you think that your basic ass rules and your basic ass life is applicable to everybody. And that's just not how it works. And that's not real life. So who's the simp? The person living in fantasy world or the person really having their feet, grounded? Come on.
When he said that comment, and in no way was this out of disrespect for the dead, the comment he made about he feels like the husband sitting there while the wife talks about transgressions. I thought about Kobe Bryant and his wife and the press conference that he had, and she was sitting there right next to him. And I'm sure there's many people, male, female, whatever, saying the same thing about her.
I wasn't even following it, and I heard it.
Was saying the same thing about her, or saying that comment.
You know who that reminds me of?
Who?
I know you're gonna be like, really? Cardi B.
Oh.
When she was like, if I want to take my cheating ass man back, then I'm going to take my cheating ass man back. If I want to work it out, then that's my choice. Yeah. I get to work it out. Like, y'all can't tell me what to do if this is what I want. Exactly.
I think the issue there, and we're kind of going off on a tangent, the issue there is people, I think it's something we should stop doing when people assign certain...
their opinion on other people.
Not their opinion, but because... I'm using an example, not saying I look at Cardi B this way, but hey, you're supposed to be an example of what women should do or what people should do in certain situations, or you should be an example of a strong woman and blah, blah, blah. So here you are doing what I perceive as a weak move. But I think that's where that comes up.
That's what I'm saying. My opinion. I'm exerting my opinion on you. Like,
what?
It's irritating that people do that. And then if you come out like, nah. Like, yo, you over here, like, casting judgment. Like, if you're casting judgment on Will, right? And they're like, oh, he's a simp. Yeah, because he's here having to stand next to his woman while she's, like, hashing out her ex-boyfriend's relationship, her relationship with her ex-boyfriend. Like,
You know what?
so are you upset because they have it all on the table? Whether and the way that he was like, this was years ago. Like, you can tell, like, they had this
Yeah,
conversation.
probably many times.
From experience, these are not conversations, which is another fantasy thing, that people think that once you have one conversation, that's it.
Yeah.
We figured everything out in that
Kevin
one
Hart-
conversation.
Kevin
That's
Hart-
not
Kevin Hart
real.
said that.
That's not real. You have to revisit conversations, because you are not gonna hit all angles until you've talked about it like 20,000 freaking times. So like sometimes I feel like, yo, you guys are, and I say you guys as in people who think,
What you mean you got?
like, people who think like their thought process in regards to other people and how they function together, whatever, is so basic that I'm like, and that's the problem, that your mind is so little, like it's tiny, because you only think this should only work this way, and that's it.
You know what else those people need to hear as well? Those people, same way you said, situations aren't black and white. You don't know how it's going to impact whatever. I feel it's safe to say, even if you are 100% positive in your own mind that, hey, in a situation where XYZ occurs, I am going to react this way. That is how I will handle cheating. This is how I'm going to handle when somebody hurts or, God forbid, murders a family member of mine. I know how I'm going to react in those situations. That's so not true. You never know.
You don't know.
Even
Listen,
if you're going off of, because the last time somebody cheated on me, here's how I responded. You never, that next
you're
person.
not going to know, because every situation
It's
is
different.
not the same. There's different things on the table. There's different things to consider.
Like, I'm sure.
Listen, I've heard women say, like, oh, if my man cheats on me, if we were dating, I would have been out.
Yeah.
But we got a kid. We have a family. We have a
never
house.
know.
We built stuff. We gonna work this shit out. I understand now. I understand, because they're like, yo, I worked too damn hard to get to this point. Perhaps they have a scale of how much cheating they're willing to put up, or how much disrespect they're willing to put up. Like, girl, nobody cares about that. But maybe for some people, if you have a baby outside the relationship is a deal breaker. For other people, it's not. And that's okay. Mind your business.
Would never condone domestic violence, but there's people who say, if you put a hand on me, that's it. While there's some people who the situation happened, and
they're seeing it completely different. They're like, yo, it really wasn't like that.
Or here's the damage that this person just has that caused them to do that.
Right, which in itself is a whole other conversation.
Not saying they're saying because of that, but they might say, well,
like, yo, it wasn't like that.
Well,
like,
the way I'm going to respond to it is a little different because I know certain things.
Right. Like that's why I'm like, one size does not fit all in situations, and in situations like this. So clearly they have open relationship. I
don't get a confirmation of that from what they've said so far.
I get a confirmation of it because he was clearly so accepting of it while they were.
No, but they weren't together. Remember?
They weren't together. They were separated, but they're still tied to each other in a sense. But again, open relationship is open. It's open for interpretation. Open relationship can be that you are allowed to have relationships with other people. An open relationship can just be like, yo, only on some sexual stuff, and that's it. Again, it is open for interpretation. I think that they have a very non-conventional way of being together, which is fine. This fits for them. I appreciate that they're having this conversation because
is there a butt coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate that they're having this conversation because it just allows people to start getting comfortable with the idea that, holy shit, maybe most relationships in America don't exist in this conformed bullshit idea that people have been given, and that they kind of just exist in how they feel it's natural for them to exist, whether that goes against the norm or not. My only thing that bothers me about this is that this was not a conversation they chose to have. This is a conversation they were pressured to have. And that's my only issue with that kid, August Alsina. My issue was, it is your experience.
I was gonna say,
and you have a right to your experience. An example of, you don't know how things are going to come back when you put them out. You have a right to share your experience. However, we just heard Jada say, I have not spoken to him since I started getting back in contact with you. Like she just said, when I started getting in contact with you, like I guess when her and Will started reaching out to each other to try to work it out, he was like, nope, I'm out, and bounced. And she's like, and I haven't heard from him since. So for 4.5 years,
but wasn't he on their show, like the Red Table Talk, like since it's been?
I don't know.
I feel like he's.
I don't follow this show.
Okay, so
let's Google it. I feel like he was.
Yeah, he was. Let me know if I'm completely off by saying.
Or perhaps she's saying up until that time.
Yeah, my time, the time seemed weird. I was trying to do a timeline off of how they were talking, but when she said that, it kind of threw me off because I was convinced that since Red Table Talk has been a thing, he's been on it, or they've been together or something like that. So, like I said just now, I don't get. I feel like I haven't gotten confirmation that they have a quote unquote open marriage, whatever that may mean for them, going off of anything that's been said so far. Because my interpretation of what's been said so far is that, like they both said, Will was done with her and she needed to go ahead. Because I feel like they emphasized they were done.
Yes, he was on the show. And look,
right?
She was like crying.
So I feel
in
like
2018, opens up about his battle with addiction.
Mm. And I mean, if I'm wrong, I feel like they emphasized they were done. Done is still probably legally married. You know, they have kids, so they have to like interact. But am I wrong in feeling like they emphasized they were done?
But perhaps she's saying like, you never reached out to me to have this conversation, and the next time you're having this conversation is on an interview, which is what came off to me like, yo, why you snitching?
I still put some blame on Angela Yee, but he didn't have to answer.
That's very true.
He could have just been like,
that is
chill,
her job.
chill.
Her job is to fish. And he got hooked on. So
Good job.
oh, I did
Good job.
He got caught on the hook, right? That's what you're saying.
I feel like it wasn't smooth, but I knew what you were going for. But
you know
I
what?
feel like you got
Blame
to
it on my bilingualness, okay? I didn't grow up with a lot of these things.
When I say it's been a huge healing on my life, and just what I had to confront and discover, you know, about myself, the ugly truths and the beauty.
My initial response to that, her saying that, and your response was, but somebody had to be a victim of your growth. Somebody had to get hurt because of while you were growing and learning. That's the thought that went through my head.
Which is true.
You know?
It is very true. I don't even know what to say to that, that's just the truth. And which is why I agreed with her, because when you have to sit down and face yourself and face the ugliest parts about you, the truth is that it comes at a cost.
It reminds me of all those situations where people, and I'm saying which side I'm on, where people praise people that we all should go through some kind of growth. Like the people who commend and praise like Chris Brown for the growth he went through from that situation. While there's some that's like, somebody had to physically be hurt because of while he went through his growth, right? Or a situation where there's just other celebrities that like us as fans will like commend their growth and whatever. But there's some of us who will be like, because of what side we fell on of the situation or who we sided with, we're just like, no, I will never accept their growth. I will never accept or applaud them for it. It just made me think of that. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and it's hard to have an answer to that, right? Like I don't think anyone sets out to use people as a stepping stone for their growth. Like to use a physical person to be the stepping stone for their growth. And I think that it just is a truth of the saying that hurt people. And that's the truth. And I think that the only way to prevent that is to start raising kids that are...
And hurt people back? No,
No. You need to start raising kids that...
Ain't no punk.
Respect themselves and speak up for themselves when they feel like someone's taking advantage of them or whatever. Because the truth is that, like, sometimes people don't see themselves as a victim to someone's pain. Like, they just see themselves as, like, how do you say?
A victim.
No, like they're just like, there's people that they're like, yo, what we went through, they just had to go through it kind of thing. And then there's people that they hold on to that pain of that experience. But the truth is like, if we from an early age learn to love ourselves so much that we don't tolerate no bullshit, it'll be very hard for someone to use us as an example to hurt us to the extent that we allow them to for them to grow. Because I feel like people can still grow. What makes people grow, let me not speak in generics. What forced me to grow was realizing like, yo, way too far. And I don't think that, I think that it got to a point where I saw myself and didn't recognize myself. And I think that if even myself, like if I had more self-love and self-respect for myself, I would have never even went there, because I would have held myself at such high regards. So I feel like...
Are you talking about a specific time and place situation, or just the state of mind you were in? Are you referring to like a specific like...
No, like a state of mind, like at a moment in time where it was just like, yo, this is too much. Like, I don't even recognize myself for my actions, like the way that I'm thinking. And I just think that if we start raising kids that love and respect themselves so much, they won't even get a chance to hurt people. Not because those people love themselves so much that they're going to stop them in their tracks, but that they are going to be able to address their own insecurities without having to go through people to do it. Because we're not taught. That's not an open conversation of like, yo, do you check in with yourself? Do you love yourself? We learn it as we go. We're tearing people down kind of thing. Because hurt people.
I'm going to get you back first, and then...
You're going to get me back. I think you got me back. I think you...
Yo, they be in... Oh, they be in...
I told you. See, I told you that there was something...
No. So here's my issue. I think
that there's a lot of back and forth.
So here's my issue. Don't give us this red table talk where you're putting it all on the table, but you're still throwing little subs.
Let me explain to you why you're being such a hypocrite right now.
Because we do that all
the time.
I'm cool with putting it on the table.
We don't have no August Alsina up in our relationship, but we do it all the time. We throw subs all the time. Okay. So don't criticize her. Look at you.
I feel like my look was just a sub. Anyways.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
So, because you only watched Sábado Gigante growing up...
I actually got that reference.
Oh, what's the reference?
From the movie Bad Boys.
Okay. Okay. Somebody mentioned it, and I thought about it, too.
I wish he would have cleaned up a little more for the show.
Him?
Because he looks a mess. And she looks like...
I think...
radiant.
No,
like, I got sleep, girl.
I think, like, hair and makeup-wise... Hear me out. Hair-wise, hair and whatever, appearance-wise, he looks fine. Fit, like, whatever. But...
Look at his eyes.
There's a sadness to his eyes, in my opinion. And he does look a little sweaty kind of thing. I think hair and stuff...
his eyes, he looks very
I don't think he needed to clean up, because clearly I think he has or recently had a haircut.
Mustache.
I think it looks kind of neat. I think he recently had like he just doesn't do the whole Beijing type dyed in his, so that's how your beard should look.
No.
But there is a stress on his face. He doesn't look fully comfortable. Like I said, from beginning to now, he still looks like, how come he don't love me, Uncle Phil?
Actually,
What?
Okay. I think that too much too soon.
You know what?
I think this is a result of too much too soon.
You know what? Because I was going to say, the same way you said, the same way you commented on some of the things that Jada was saying, and you were saying, because I've said that, because this is me talking to you, because I've said that, because I felt that, because I've given that off. And that's why I think he isn't comfortable agreeing with you with too much too soon. I've been where he's been. I've had that look while trying to have the mature conversation, while saying.
I see it. That's why I'm like, yo, this is very cringy. Yeah. it's very cringy. It's very awkward. Like, I
get that you
maybe that's why I'm seeing certain things about him that are picking up, because I'm just like, I think it's too much too soon.
I'm not trying to knock on them, but yes, you do have a platform, you do have episodes to put out, but you know what? In this case, you know, let the narratives go out there, let people make their own stories, whatever. Going back to the whole thing of that, these are real people. You guys, I think you guys as though they're watching, but too much too soon. Maybe give yourselves even more time to once again have this conversation together, which they probably did. We could be wrong. We are just saying cringy too soon, too much too soon. While from the moment August said what he had to say as a chatty patty to now, they probably again had 10,
to revisit
20,
the conversation.
30 conversations. So just so they can have this still awkward looking conversation.
It is a very awkward conversation, and unfortunately, because they are in the public eye, I agree about them having to address it, because I think that allowing the narrative to carry on may have actually caused more stress.
Let me ask you a question.
Because you kind of want to like, okay, we're going to let this go. But then you see it's literally just like, instead of going, it's freaking torpedoing in another direction. And you're like, all right, now it's too much to handle. Let's do what we can to, maybe we're not going to stop that train, but let's do something to slow it down. It's going full speed right now.
Let's take over the narrative.
Let's take over the narrative. And hopefully that will slow the train down so that we can get back on this healing process journey, because it's a journey. We know it's a journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like it's not a journey. Sometimes it feels like
a train wreck.
The train has just
let the train crash.
It has literally like it's on the bridge and then it just like went this way. But I think that what they're doing is brave, and they didn't have to do this. I think they chose to because they need to slow that train down, because it does look a little cringy, a little awkward. I think that they were on a good page about it, and then it coming up, kind of like, oh, here's these, because this was another thing about going through something like this. Okay, we're all good, feelings are good, and then something happens, bam, and now here are all the feelings,
all the memories, all the feelings,
and
good and bad.
Here's the memories. And now here's all the feelings that come along with the memories. And now we need to sort. Now let's buy another storage filing cabinet, because we need to file those. We need to sort through all of these and file them away, because these are new feelings.
Here's
and
the
these
anger
new feelings
I had at you. Here's
an anger I have that I didn't address it in this specific way. Because you may have addressed the anger, but you probably addressed it the 30 ways you were feeling it back then. But now this is anger feeling number 31, and we haven't addressed this specific anger. So we need to revisit this conversation to, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have the conversation once.
Yeah.
You have the conversation over and over and over and over and over, and it just doesn't stop.
You're also now dealing with, I'm assuming they're also dealing with this new element. There's an embarrassment.
That's what I'm saying. And here's a new feeling.
That's a new element to the whole conversation.
Yeah. And so I feel like they were good.
Both feelings, I'm sorry.
I feel like they were good.
Yeah.
And then it is a little mix of Hollywood having to still maintain a certain image, a certain unified image, when probably at the moment he probably want to reach over that table and just like grab her and just pull her right into the top of that table kind of thing.
Not saying Will would do that.
No.
Or even
but I think that if Will at this moment would not be judged or in fear of his family falling apart. I think if Will was allowed for a freebie, that if people did it,
there's no way
that if he just got on top of the table and Sparta kicked her in the face, I think that he would take that chance. I think he would take that.
Can you find no other example?
No, I think that he would take that moment.
He's allowed to be really mad.
No. If he was allowed to Men in Black us. With a little thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if he was allowed to do that and know that the whole world witnessed it, and then we all have to instantly forget it happened,
that's a better example.
I think he would do it. That's what I meant. That I think he would do it if he was if people would immediately forget. Guaranteed. Yeah, I think he would right now.
I told you the first year we were married.
What'd you tell me?
That I can love you through anything.
How true is that?
How true is what?
When people say, I will love you through anything. How empty of a promise is that?
I want to say yes, it's an empty promise, especially because we can't predict the future. And it just sounds like it's a good thing to say. You may definitely feel like it.
You feel like you would love someone through thick and thin. But the reality is you have a limit.
Thick and thin could be anything.
So it's strong to say, I will love you through anything.
Some people.
I think if me and you one day become to no longer be, I would literally be the person mincing my words.
What do you mean mincing your words?
Oh my God, I love you to the end of the world. I will love you for the rest of.
Where you said you would be?
I would be the person mincing my words.
You said we. Okay,
if me and you are no longer together, right?
After the exact story and life that we've had together, right? I'm trying to understand what.
Like if we're not together anymore.
Okay.
And we are off with other people.
You feel like you're gonna go throwing stuff like that out there, like, oh, I'll love you forever.
No, I'm saying I will mince my words. I would be very careful and very selective.
No, so you make sure you won't.
I will not mince.
I never got. Oh, you will not mince your words. Okay, is it mince?
I mean, I'm sorry, you're right. I am going to mince my words. Like I'm going to really be like, because when people are in love and they're in that moment and they're in that feeling, it's a lot of. We're built for a team together and we will make it through anything. Yeah. I don't feel that I'm going to be that person. I'm going to just look at them and be like, I would speak in my feelings at that moment.
So you won't mince your words. I need to do it for myself because I realize I don't know the exact. So to speak vaguely or indirectly, often use in the negative to convey.
No, I will mince my words.
No, you won't.
No, I will, because I'm going to be as vague as possible.
Oh, you're going to be vague.
Without overpromising.
Okay. I got
That's
you.
what I mean. Like, I'm not going to say, I will love you through anything. I'm here to the end. I'm be like, no, I'm here till you do something that I find completely disrespectful, and I don't want to be with you anymore. I love you until the choice of loving me more or loving you more becomes an option. I'm going to always choose myself. Like, that is, like, I'm not going to mince my words because I want to keep it generic.
Yeah.
Or I am going to mince my words because I'm going to keep it generic. But if they're always like, why you always say things so generically? Then I'm not going to mince my words. And I'm going to be like, well, because the truth is that I'm a hard person to love. Do you want to speak till day? I'm a very hard person to love. I may have come a long way, but who knows who I'll be with you, to be honest. So I'm not going to overpromise because I've seen this happen and it just doesn't play out. It's a reality. And this is going to sound horrible to say, but because of the choices I've made in my life, when I hear wedding vows, I'm like, remember you said that.
Oh.
Because sometimes
for the people saying it.
Yeah, because people say it, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that what you're saying right now is very true. I think that a powerful, I could be wrong. We're not married yet. I don't know. But I think that a powerful thing, which we should probably do, is whatever our vows are. Oh, we can't.
What?
Whatever our vows are.
What?
We should have them framed. Somewhere where we can see them and read them.
Why can't we?
Often. Because you're like, I'm going to wing it.
Whatever.
So, like, I think that would be very powerful so that you're always in remembering what you promised to start the marriage off as. I think that would be powerful. But again, I think that there is a lot of truth to I'll have your back through anything. I think there's a lot of, it's very hard to actually do that with a person that you are starting to get to know. Like, remember, you may feel like you know someone your whole life, like, oh my God, we connect so well. It feels like I've known them for forever, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't. And people grow, people change, people go through life experiences that doesn't have anything to do with you that will affect them. People go into careers that affect them. I can't think anyone that is a homicide detective that doesn't carry a little bit of that with them, that didn't change that about them a little bit. Like, I think that well, this is a whole topic for a whole nother thing, but like how marriages are kind of like backwards, how weddings and marriages are backwards, and how I actually spoke my whole idea about it into existence. And I didn't notice it until a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh my God, I did it to myself.
The fact that our timeline is, by societal terms, our timeline is backwards. Kid, house, all that stuff, then marriage. Is that what you mean?
No. My whole thing was like, I think people who get married in the beginning of their relationship, like that's just a setup because you're putting so much money into this wedding, you're putting so much money into all of this, but you haven't even gone through like real life relationships shit.
So we've gone
like
through real life stuff.
You should earn that shit and then have the wedding and then have the celebration and then do and you know, like I always felt that way, and I feel like I've communicated that to you, and then I'm over here wondering why we're still not married 10 years in. Like, girl, because you spoke it into existence. You were saying couples need to go through real life to see if this was something they would stick through.
So, real quick, I guess the last thing I'll say on their conversation, I was quickly scrolling through the comments, and then like scrolling through like again, this is me scrolling for like a minute out of 36,000 comments,
and growing.
But just seeing like 30 or so comments, the first and only time I'm seeing them respond to anybody, Real Table Talk, the show, not where
it could not be them. It could be an assistant.
Was everyone should do what works for them. Real Table Talk, their response, real talk.
I agree.
Respond to the people that said, "Girl," but they won't respond to those people. But
anyway, because that's just assumptions, speculations.
But the last thing I'll say to this, and it's gonna sound, and not to get into a conversation about it, I feel like everything they said throughout that whole interview, and again, this is going off experience, personal experience for myself. Everything they said through that interview, I was listening, I was hearing, I was putting certain weight on some of the things that they were saying about where they were at, how much they've grown from it. The look on Will's face throughout, and the way it ended, tells me that, like, to me, it took away from everything they said before the ending. The fact that we both feel like he was about to cry.
I feel they were both about to cry.
That I just didn't even pay attention to her, I'll admit. But I feel like the fact that he was about to cry at the ending and the way he looked, to me, not saying everything before that was BS, it just made me say, all right, we don't know anything.
There's still more work
even
to
though
be
we
done.
Just saw 12 minutes of them opening up, 12 minutes of probably 4 hours of conversation, for all we know, that ending to me told me that everything we just saw, that
was level 1 of like 3,000. What we saw was was one side. It's like, picture like an onion. What we saw was, you know when you take an onion and you peel it, that very first peel, which is like, it's not really the onion, it's like the like, it's kind of like the really thin crusty.
Yeah.
That was that first peel of a quarter of the onion.
That ending made me feel like as soon as the director said, all right, cut, Will got up and said, don't be here when I get back.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like Will said, all right.
I feel like they took their time. I feel like they got up and then like went this way.
No. Not even.
Walked away.
Okay, here's what happened. Director said, all right, that was it. Will was like, all right, so we're good? And she got up and she was like, all right. And she was like, so? And Will was just like, and that's when Will turned and walked away. She was trying to continue the whole.
It was very cringeworthy.
Yes. And Will walked away and Will said, I'm going to go stay by Jaden's house with him and Tyler, the creator.
I think.
Apparently, I don't know.
I think that they. Here's, again, this is all assumption. Mm-hmm. I think that based on their past discrepancies, because they did take a hint on that. They made a hint about it. About how she was like, but I had to deal with your stuff too.
There was some back and forth.
So I feel like
his stuff?
I feel like his discrepancies. Well, clearly the man is really good, because if he was out there finding his happiness and we ain't hear about it, that he probably called that girl like, you better shut your ass up.
I'm telling you right now, for those of you who listen, who follow Andrew Schultz, whether it's on.
He's probably like, do not get wings like August Alsina.
There have been rumors, from what I've heard from, like, Andrew Schultz mentioned it on the podcast. Now, I'm being a chatty patty, but he said it on a podcast with Charlamagne. I think there were rumors about Eva Mendes when they were on Hitch.
Mm-hmm.
There were rumors about him and Margot Robbie when they were on the set of what's that movie, that DC whatever, Suicide Squad. And there've been rumors about Will over the years, but Will is such a sniper with his.
Here's my thing. I think that despite this, that because of their discrepancies, I have a feeling that Will has arrived. Right? I feel like
ending makes me think.
No, listen to me.
Driving.
You're not listening.
Go ahead.
Will has arrived to that part of his life where he's like, I'm past that. That's not the kind of person I want to be. I'm past that. And he was under the assumption that Jada was there too. Like maybe he felt that he caught up to Jada, and Jada turned around and was like, "Oh, you're here? Yeah, you know what? Let me go back there real quick." And then she did that too.
Or you mean when the August Alsina thing happened? That's when they were both at those points.
I feel like that's when he caught up. That's when he caught up to where he thought Jada wanted him to be, where he, and then when he got there and she was like, nah. Like, I feel like that's what led up to them wanting to be separated. Because he was on some, all right, you said for me to be here and make you happy, so here I am. I'm trying to make you happy and you're not being happy. And then I feel like that's when the fall of Jada started happening. And now she's trying to come back up. But because of that, he went this way. So now he's trying to go back this way. Like I feel like they're just going in different directions, trying to find to the place that they think will be best for them. And I think that's now where they're at.
Let me ask you this. Put aside, try your best, to put aside whatever past experiences of your own. You're just a person from the outside looking in. Are Will and Jada relationship goals?
That's a hard question to answer. I think that clearly we have fantasized.
I'm not asking because I have my answer. My answer is the same as yours. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because to some, maybe to be able to go through something like that and still come out together, I'm going to say together, not saying come out perfect on the other end. But
still come out together. Still come out fighting.
That's
for
goals.
Each other.
That is goals for some people. Yeah.
That is goals. To still come out saying like, yo, it's going to take time, but I want to do this.
For some people, the unrealistic goal, which we know some people like this, is to never have to go through anything like that. So
which is not real.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah,
unrealistic. And the unrealistic hope of I've apologized, let's forget about it. That's not real either.
If you think that way, end your relationship now.
And don't get in a relationship with anyone.
Be by yourself.
For real, because that's not.
Fight it out.
That is just not how it works. But I don't know if I would consider them relationship goals. I think that for me, relationship goals are just people who are honest about what they are feeling, what they are going through, and that their significant other is a receptive person who is not judgmental and is invested in helping this person become the best version of themselves and vice versa. And not making them fit in a specific box. We're open to the idea that a relationship it doesn't have to be, two monogamous people. It doesn't have to be like that. The relationship can be other things. And just making sure that you are in a relationship with a person who also thinks like you. So I think those kind of relationships are relationship goals, but those relationships, they're hard to build because we've already come pre-programmed to have an assumption of how relationships should work. And I think they're hard to come by, and I think that people think that just because you're a good match that it's not going to be work. And I think that people underestimate the amount of work that you have to put in to get to that level, if that makes sense. Because look, they've been together for 25 years, and it looks like they're still trying to figure that shit out. Would I consider that relationship goals? I would hope that in 25 years, we already got this shit figured out. And we're not bickering about. To me, what they're going through is like young shit.
Clearly it's not.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, clearly it's not. But it just goes to show you just don't know in what direction your marriage may go, your relationship may go. And I think that a lot of it could have been avoided from just the very beginning.
I just thought of. So, okay, I got to go down the list. But so far, I would say that's 2 out of, I don't know what the other ones are, 2 out of the 3 or 4 power couples or powerful people that Charlamagne likes to say, I'm a Knowles, Winfrey, Carter's, whatever, that either the marriage has gone through some kind of infidelity, or there's some controversy around the person. Apparently Oprah is on house arrest for whatever, tinfoil hat people. Beyonce, Knowles, and Jay-Z. It sounds weird saying her whole name. Oh, because he refers to her last name. Jada and Will. I think Charlamagne is cursing these people. Who's the other people he says he's in their lineage or whatever? He says, I'm a Winfrey, Carter, Knowles, Smith. Is that it?
I think it is.
Damn, Charlamagne.
Winfrey, Carter, Knowles. Well, and then look who it is, Charlamagne, who is like, know
well,
what?
Then I guess that's, wow.
Charlamagne has said, like, yo, we've gone through mad shit, and now him and his wife are like in a great, they're in a great place.
Wow.
I just don't. I'm under the assumption that great relationships
go through great turmoil.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like you don't really flourish with someone until you've been through some stuff. Shit.
Yeah,
for real, some shit.
Think about that when you write your vows, people.
Yo, for real. Like, think about. I know that's so horrible. Imagine, like, think about what's the worst thing that your spouse could do for you, and then write your vows. Write your vows, vowing that you will stick through them. You will stick with them through that. That's some real vows right there. Not that fairy tale shit like, no matter what, I got your back.
Wow.
Because then that no matter what could turn into the worst thing you could think of. And then you're like, bitch, burn in hell. I want a divorce. Which is fine.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the You, Me, We podcast.